Roberto Maesta said, "We took this over in your name for the yet unborn and future generations. This is your home, and everyone is welcome."
October 1972. Seattle is dealing with fallout from the Boeing bust, protests against the Vietnam War, and demands for equity and opportunity from communities of color.
What it meant, I think, to the Chicano community was that
At the time, Roberto Maestas is leading an English as a second language program that serves as a focal point for a growing Chicano community.
It developed into a program that addressed itself to grassroots people.
But then it was defunded. Efforts to get the city to save the program and to provide a place for it to exist go nowhere. Maestas and other Chicano activists decide to take action. They set their sights on the vacant, rundown Beacon Hill School. On October 11th, they show up, saying they want to take a look inside.
All of these people started coming up the sidewalk, and the maintenance person saw that, and he turned to Roberto and gave him the key and said, "When you're done, lock up." And of course, we were never done.
The occupation lasts 3 months.
And they did it in a peaceful way without violence. I think the thing that makes it so successful is that the community came and supported them.
A deal is finally reached. The building is leased to the activists for $1 a year. El Centro de la Raza, the Center for People of All Races, is born. The real work begins.
Now we have this building. Now we have this opportunity. How are we going to move this forward?
El Centro's leadership set out to implement Dr. Martin Luther King's philosophy of building a beloved community that stands for justice, opposes hate, aids those in need, and helps the community help themselves to succeed and thrive.
It started off with education, right? Then it started off with finding resources for food and other things that our community needed.
Childcare, preschool, and youth programs are created, along with efforts to aid families, seniors, immigrants, and the unhoused.
Yeah, I get pretty emotional every time I talk about it.
Board Chair Roxana Amaral knows firsthand how El Centro can change lives. When her family came to Seattle from Mexico, it was El Centro that helped them find their way in a new city and country.
It's been an honor to not only be a recipient and also receive the care that we received as immigrant children, and then being able to build our skills and set our foundation to then help others thrive.
As years became decades, El Centro stayed true to building a beloved community.
This is more of a commitment, a way of life, a calling.
That commitment and calling did not go unnoticed. El Centro's advocacy for social justice and economic opportunity made it a player in political circles.
There was an audience there they could no longer ignore. And when people came together and spoke out together and voted together, it gets noticed.
You also get noticed when you take on a $45 million capital project that creates Plaza Roberto Maestas with affordable housing, retail, office, event, and early childhood development space.
I think it took their respect level up in some sectors in the nonprofit community. And people sat back and said, "Oh, look at that."
Today, El Centro de la Raza provides 43 programs and services. This year, it will serve more than 22,000 people.
Jobs, healthcare, education, housing, those are basic human rights.
Amidst the pandemic, racial reckoning, and uncertain times, El Centro is planning for the future. It is developing projects to meet the growing need for low-income housing, childcare, and other services in Seattle's Columbia City neighborhood. And it's expanding in Federal Way and South King County, where Latinos now make up 56% of the population.
El Centro just has demonstrated year after year, decade after decade, that they're in for the long haul, and they're committed.
It is amazing that El Centro has lasted 50 years and now we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. And it just seems so natural that we'll be here for generations and generations to come.
¡Viva el Centro de la Raza!